everyone, and welcome to another Mystery School. Aloha, all you beautiful souls. I am extremely grateful to bring this podcast to you guys tonight. And I have been extremely humbled by this Holy Spirit the past few weeks about this podcast as well. Probably more than any other podcast that I've done so far. I think because a lot of the things I usually try to talk about, I try to ask more questions than I provide answers. I try not to talk in absolutes. Um, I feel like that's really important. There's some things I feel like God has given me, and there's some things I feel like we're still learning about that mystery. We're still getting revelations about that. And there's a lot of things that I feel like most of us are. Like, I don't know if anybody out there has all the answers yet. So, um, that being said, I do believe there are Christs already on our planet already too. People who have achieved that statehood. But definitely, this is something that Spirit, kind of set me back. I was ready to do it. And I felt a very heavy presence of Christ and guides to saying, no, we're not going to do this today. There's a lot that has to be done. The message was, first, take that plank out of your own eye, and then you'll be able to speak clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's exactly it. And there's a lot of things that I feel like that speck has been taken out of my eye, but I'm obviously no Buddha. I'm no Christ. I'm not an enlightened being. So to fully speak on Ascension, uh, I don't have the credentials probably to fully speak on it. So I think I have to give you in my most humblest way my version of Ascension, and to be quite honest, and I think anybody's going to tell you that otherwise who hasn't reached that same honors, then they might not be fully trusted, maybe something to question. But I definitely feel like over the past couple months, I've gotten literally a lot of great things have happened for me, a lot of levels up. I've been paid to work out, I've been paid to go to yoga lately. That's the first time in my whole life. Very grateful for that. I have a lot of it without even my own intention, quit a lot of the things that I would normally do for relaxation, vices, if you will. And I completely, in the past couple months, haven't done anything. So I have had a huge level up for myself. And I think this is all around the subject. And I feel like Christ, my relationship with Christ, really deepening, really speaking to me and really helping me out with things that I've been asking for. Without going into a lot more detail, I've definitely mastered my domain and a lot of other things in the past couple months, which I feel as good as I ever felt, to be honest, physically. And I know I got a long ways to go physically, but I'm definitely reaping those benefits as well. The way I feel, my attitude, my calmness, feels great. So I just want to share that with you guys. Like I said, I've been pushed back on this by Spirit because I feel like it's definitely something I needed to gain for. And there was a lot of research, a lot of meditation here, a lot of yoga, a lot of questions that I asked that came to me via visions, understandings, videos, books. I reading the Bible a lot, and then just getting something from a message that I hadn't gotten before, bringing things up that I had maybe forgotten a little bit about. That's kind of how this thing normally goes, but this is just a much more in-depth version. So I'm being real humble with my Ascension podcast for you guys today, and giving you what the best version of this in my humblest way of doing it. So that being said, Ascension, typically, like a definition of ascension, is the act or process of ascending and ascent, the rising of a star above the horizon. And in Christianity, obviously, we know the body rising of Jesus into heaven on the 40th day after his resurrection. So, we've got kind of multiple definitions. Got this one definition. A lot of people like to, consider the ascent of Jesus, but that's something that's definitely happened with other people, and he's not the only one. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But overall, we know this the act or process of ascending. So it's about moving to a higher frequency, a higher vibration, leveling up, a frequency sweep. that to me is what first and foremost we need to see ascension for our own lives is, because without going way on out there in the big definitions and to being ascending into a cloud, we can ascend. I mean, I can't tell you, where I was over 10 years ago, living in Atlanta, working at a bar, you know, on my quest, doing yoga, seeking out crystal skulls, seeking out truths, reading more, reading about alchemy, reading the Bible, and then having this huge awakening. And I had multiple awakenings. I had multiple seasons of ascension, and sometimes where I went back down a little bit, and always going back up. And where I am now, after living in Colorado for over like 10 and a half years, the human that I am, the person I am, the the peace that I have now, the understanding that I have now, it's so much greater. So I think we all ascend. I don't think, it's just for one person or one group of people. We all sin. We all have little ascensions. We all kind of fall back a little bit too sometimes, but it's definitely a process. And one of the things that we can do to start our ascension is, fasting. I think fasting a lot. And I think if you don't want to fast, hardcore at the beginning, just literally fasting food and drink water. I think that's a good way to start and see how many days you can go. I think a typical 3-day, fast can reset your whole, nervous system and everything. That right there is a goal just to start out with. If you don't do anything else, just fast for 72 hours. I've done that many times and felt great after that. We don't need the vast majority of the food that we eat. We don't need it. Even Christ said, work for the food your heavenly Father provides, not the food that spoils. We're constantly eating stuff we don't need, sugars and things like that. But we're not working for that spiritual food, that truth that's in everything that is, the essence that everything is that we can take in through different means. And one of them that obviously for me is truth. It's seeking out answers. The higher vibrational frequency of truth over a lie is so much higher, and it's so much more satisfying to be a person who constantly tells the truth, who seeks the truth, and learning about things that other people won't even question. There's something about that is extraordinarily awesome for me. And I'll be honest, most people that I know who do the same thing and who get it, it's the same for them. So, and then not just fasting from food, but fasting from the world, fasting from those desires, lust, the things that I was talking about earlier today, some of those vices that we all have that we lean on sometimes for stress or whatever. And like I said, a lot of times it's not even having the intention. Like for me, the past couple months wasn't even having the intention of really trying to cut some of them out. One of them in particular, I did want to cut out, and it became a lot easier than I even wanted it to be. But I mean, just fasting from those things that we don't need and realizing if I focus on different things, I don't even need those things. I won't even have to have an intention on getting rid of it. And a lot of times it's just it's a journey. It's such a battle to like quit something you don't want to do. Like, I don't want to do that. And you're constantly trying to battle yourself about, it's not about not doing the thing. If you are on your path, if you're doing the things you're supposed to, if you're living out your purpose, those things dissolve. You don't even need to do them. You don't even want to do them. And that's what I feel like for me. Some of these things happen, alignments has happened for me, and all of a sudden these things just fade away. I didn't even need them anymore. And, and I'm not even doing those things. So it's just like, it's not about saying, oh, I don't want to smoke. I don't want to do this. Like that to me is hard. Say, I don't want to do this thing. That thing's going to eat you alive. But if you let it go, move on and live your life with purpose, and you feel filled up that you've done the things you're supposed to do. You said the things you're supposed to say today. Those little instances where someone said something to you and you don't say the thing you feel like you should back because of fear of being an outcast or something. When you say those things that you're supposed to say, it fills you up inside. It feels like I did it. Did what I was supposed to do. I'm here living the life that I'm supposed to be living. That makes me feel great. And I feel like when you do those things, when you be that person that you want to see in the world, you don't need those other things because you're doing it. You're being that human that you came here to be. That feels great. And then just letting go of the heavy stuff, literally, like the traumas and the hate and the anger and the grudges. Letting go of that stuff makes you feel so much lighter, so much freer, so much better. I can't even tell you how many times I've had realized that I held grudges in my body, that physical pain in my body came from the things that I thought about other people, holding on to a grudge I had from somebody. You let that go, man, you'll be surprised how fast you can have a healing on something. You can alleviate your own back pain or, you know, an autoimmune disease. Those things are there for a reason. You know what I mean? It's not just by chance. You have those things because you're holding on to something you don't need. But it served its purpose. It'll go. It just goes away. I had an autoimmune disease for 10 years. It just went away. I didn't have to take anything. And I knew that doing yoga, doing Reiki energy healing, doing those things, living my life, not living a life of anger and sour emotions, the way we clean that up is gone, hasn't come back. I do believe if I was to go back, that it would come back too. Um, but that's not a life I'm ever going to live. So I don't think it's not coming back. And lightening up, you let go of the heavy stuff, you lighten up. That's what enlightenment is. You lighten the load. That's super important. We have to, we should, we can. You're allowed to do that if you want to. And it feels good. It feels good to lighten your load. You know, when you realize you've been carrying grudges, you've been carrying anger, you've been carrying belief systems about things that really don't serve you to your highest good, let it go. Religion, when that finally you let go of those things, you feel great. I feel like I'm not obligated to think a certain way about the president, or I'm obligated to feel a certain way because I want to be a Democrat or Republican. I let go of all those things. I don't have the same feelings about that the majority of people do. I'm not polarized a certain way. I feel so much lighter and so much happier because I don't even have to be mad about those things. Somebody starts in a conversation getting mad about something and everybody wants people to jump in, like, man, I don't even want to jump in. I don't have any reason. I want to walk the other way because my peace is so much more important than that. But as we start to fast from the world, fast from the food, lighten up, let go, what happened? What else happens for us? I mean, one of the biggest things that happened to me was synchronicity. Being at the right place at the right time, finding I was at the wrong place at the wrong time so many times, meeting the right people, people's names, people's birthdays, always, started coming up, you know, finding incredible cool things like crystal skulls and going to go see them and then being totally validated on everything that I thought and more. That was incredible. Intuition kicks in. My intuition is through the roof about people, about jobs, about life, what the next step should be when maybe one job or something is coming to an end and you feel that little bit of fear where it's like, okay, this could go away and then I wouldn't have this. And so then what I need to do, what I need to worry about. And then all of a sudden it keeps, hey man, trust the journey. And I'm like, oh, yes. Pull some cards. Oh, it totally synchronized with that. Totally backs that up. Totally confirms it. Trust the journey. So I don't have to worry about it. Just start paying attention. Something else is ending. Something else you got to start. You got to trust the journey on that. And that happens. It happens to me a lot. My intuition through the roof about subjects, truths, understanding, books, people. I mean, I feel clear. I feel like there are things that I know I can say in front of people and some things I know I can't. And, it feels good. It feels good to be on that and your intuition be rocking and you're listening. And then acting on it too, because that intuition is great. But if you don't act on it, if you don't act on the intuition, it's worthless. You can have all the intuition in the world, but if you don't act on it, doesn't do anything for you. So that's part of it too, learning to act on it. Like I said, you can heal pain, you can heal diseases, autoimmune diseases. You don't even realize sometimes those things are there, those traumas are there, that dis-ease because you're no longer at ease. If you can just start to be back at ease again, you can totally eliminate a lot of things in your life. You don't need to go to a doctor, you don't need to go anywhere. You may end up going to a Reiki session or something like that, something different, but acupuncture, I recommend all those things. But at the end of the day, You can go to all those things and not do anything. It's you. It's your faith that heals you. It's your belief system. It's your placebo effect to think you can take this thing or I can go to this person and it's going to go. But if you eventually think it's going, that thing is gone. I'm living a free life without it. It will happen. That is 100% my belief, and that has what happened to me. Learning how to pray. Man, I didn't even know how to pray. I just did what everybody else was doing, asking God forgive me things and do things for me. Um, Learning a lot about prayer and how it works, not asking for things, but realizing I already have them. Those things are already here. They're already now. Mixing my emotions with my thoughts. Man, yesterday I feel like I moved some clouds, some storm clouds that come over my house. Literally literally prayed the storm be split and not rain on our house. So I was working on a pop-up camper outside and looked up and it didn't hit us. And it was already hailing. It was already snow. It was already raining really hard. And I went and looked at my GPS on my phone, and that the cloud split. Now, I've said it a few times, many times to the clouds. I never thought I had an impact, but yesterday, I'd have to say I feel like that we did 100%. All things are possible with Christ who strengthens us, with God who strengthens us. Man, it's all things are possible. Anything's possible. But you learn how to pray, you learn how to move mountains. Um, you can see deeper into people and information, and your life is in alignment with what you want. For so long, my life was in alignment with what I didn't want. Being miserable, dating the wrong person, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, not feeling fulfilled in the job I was in, and then completely just saying, I'm done. I know I can bring forth all the things I have now and more things, and just leaving Atlanta with what I had in my car. And I got all the things now and more. So it comes true. It really does. It's not me or anybody else who's better. It's everyone. We just all have to see that in ourselves. We have to be in alignment with that. We have to know it. You have to know that you're God's son, God's daughter, that you're royalty, that you are one with the all, that there's nothing that Jesus or Buddha or Christian was made of that you're not made of, that you are just as worthy as any of those people. I think that's where it starts. And then you have to believe it. You have to believe it to achieve it. And so if we do believe it, if we really do believe it, if we really do get in alignment, if our lives turn into this synchronistic, magic, beautiful life that we're all looking for, this fairy tale that we see on TV that makes us think, obviously, that it's just a movie, but it is potentially the outcome that we want, right? We all want to probably be with someone that we really get along with. We want to work a job that's purposeful. We want to be successful. We want to be able to go see things. We want to be able to do things and live a good life. Is that possible for everyone? 100%. I think there's more than enough resources out there for every single person to experience that on this planet. And so you can be there. But even beyond that, even beyond just the things, the house, the partner, how far can we level up? I think the ultimate level up for the human being on this planet right now is the Christ consciousness. I think that ultimately is what we're looking forward to, we're working at, that we're trying to get to. And I want to talk about that for a second, the Christ consciousness. Christ, and I even want to go talk about Mary too. Christ is obviously not a name. Christ is a title. And I believe Mary is not a name. I believe Mary is a title. She's married to her masculine and feminine. Her heart and her brain are married, and in the coherence that they have. Her left brain is married to her right brain, and she is married to Jesus. Probably the wedding where Jesus turns the water into wine is probably their wedding. I believe Mary was definitely Jesus' partner. They were both enlightened beings who resonated the same energy to each other, one being the divine masculine and one being the divine feminine. But they both had that divine masculine and divine feminine in both of them. So they were titles. Mary of Magdalene, and Mary was also Jesus's mother as well. So I think both of those women were enlightened. I think Jesus and Mary and Joseph, I think these were very enlightened human beings. And I think that we were talking about titles. And they had to do their inner work too to achieve that. They didn't just get that. They had to work for that. And then a lot of time, so what we're seeing now, I see a lot of people, memes and stuff, talking about Yeshua, right? Yes, I do believe that Yeshua is Christ. given name. Yeshua is like Joshua, pretty common Hebrew name. And I believe that is his given name. A lot of people say that Jesus is kind of the name we shouldn't use because it's wrong or it's not right or whatever. And that's fine. I don't care. I don't think it matters if you use Yeshua, Jesus. But to me, Christ and Mary are titles. And just like a doctor or someone else who has earned in a 4 year, 8 year degree, whatever, a title, you want to call that person doctor or whatever. To me, this is the ultimate title. It's the ultimate teacher. It's the ultimate student. It's the master. It's the servant. This is the ultimate human title is Christ. So when I refer to that energy, I refer to it typically as Christ. Every once in a while I'll say other things, but to me, it's like, if someone was, I'm Jacob and I was to reach this and you still called me Jacob, and it's like, that's fine. You can call me whatever you want. But like ultimately to show your highest respects and regard to this human who's done that, I would want to give them that title. So, it's like calling somebody, by their first name and they've, reached doctor or whatever, or some other title. And it's like, that's not even close to this. So to me, Christ consciousness, Mary, the Mary titles, their titles. They're just, those other things are just names that were given to them. But certainly it seems that Yeshua was the given name. And just like the Pope and other people who try to mimic these saints that we have and these spiritual humans who get to the Christ consciousness, they try to mimic it and they change their name. The names change. No one was born a Buddha. No one was born Christ. I don't believe Krishna was born Krishna. I believe Krishna is a title. I believe Buddha is a title. There are many Buddhas. I think there are many Christ. Krishna is very, like crystal and Christ. They're very close together and probably derived from the same terms. So I think these are titles that they obtain, and their names change. Even in the Bible, it says there's a stone with the new name written on it for you. I think once you get to that, your name changes, and it's not just to these titles, but there's also something mixed in there with it. Possibly, that's my own personal belief on that one. That there's a new name written for you that you use, that you remember, that you when you hit this Christ that you're going to use. So anyways, Christ is the title I typically use. And when we talk about Christ and him doing his inner work, the thing that's missing, there's a story about this guy being born to being 12 years old and then 13 to 30, completely missing. Where is it? And how come nobody knows where it is? People do know where it is. There's actually a pretty good amount of information on this. But Christ was obviously, and he probably wasn't even Christ. He might have been Yeshua at that point. He is used in those 18 years to go to the mystery schools, to learn, to practice yoga, to figure out who he is, where he came from, what is he here to do. He was doing his inner work for 18 years. He's going to India, he's going to Tibet, he's going to Egypt, he's going to these mystery schools. There's even in Tibet, there's even people who went and wanted to read the scrolls in Tibet, and they wouldn't let them read them for a while, but eventually they got the privilege to be able to do it. And Jesus was referred to as Saint Isa, and he was there working miracles, doing his thing, doing it, and other places as well in Egypt and Tibet. And it's mind blowing that those things are there, but the vast majority of people will never want to talk about that. They just want to say that those are the missing years, and that's all you need to know. But if you're really a true seeker, if you're really looking for the mystery of the kingdom of heaven, we have got to seek. And that is a huge point where this guy is teaching as a kid in the streets. And then all of a sudden he's gone for 18 years and comes back hardcore, and he's ready to do, this incredible work that he's doing. And, so yeah, Saint Isa, he's doing these incredible works, and he's all over the place, moving around, trying to figure these things out. So he's studying in the schools, he's doing his inner work, he's achieving, high levels of yoga. I imagine, when you saw Jesus, most people probably thought he was a yogi. He had to been. And so that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of that goes along with the Edgar Cayce readings that Edgar Cayce pulled out, and then these people go confirm, that Saint Isa is there in these places where Edgar Cayce and he did his channelings. And I think that's pretty incredible too, that Edgar Cayce pulled those things out. And even that Jesus didn't even, it wasn't that was his only life. There's a lot of information that Edgar Casey pulled out, and some of these other stories would confirm, that Jesus was had other reincarnations as well. When Jesus talks to the disciples about Elijah, and they said, Elijah has to come back first, and he says, "Well, what do you think John the Baptist is?" And I think, John the Baptist is Elijah, and Jesus is Elisha, his student back then. And then there's even stories that he could be Enoch. And I think Edgar Casey referred to the fact that Jesus was Adam. And I believe that is an incredible story, that was part of his karma as the fall of man, to come back and do what he did, to leave us a memory, to leave something for us that would be appreciated, to be known for millennia, that wouldn't go away, that they wouldn't be able to suppress that. So Jesus had his own journey. That soul had his own journey, and he did his work, and he was gone, and he did that for, whatever it was, 18 mission years. So Christ is led. He's led by the Holy Spirit, as many of us are today. You want to get led into the wilderness. You want to get led into certain relationships with people. You want to get led into spirituality, to truths, to yoga. If you start waking up and you're listening, that Holy Spirit, that energy, that essence will bring you in and lead you if you listen to it. And if you let it bring you into the places that you need to be, the people you need to meet, and start to, realize, like, blessed is he that's poor in spirit. Man, I'm poor in spirit and I need some more. So I'm a beggar when it comes to it. And I'm listening, and I'm learning, and my bowl is open. It's completely empty, and you want to get it filled up. If you can do that, then you will be led by the Holy Spirit. And he was led by the Holy Spirit, like many others, into the wilderness. We know that story. And then after 40 days, then he resurrected. Literally not eating, not drinking anything, thirsty. Probably feels like he's about to literally die, hanging out in the dry desert, not drinking anything, not eating anything, living on prana, manna. It's probably gets to the point, right, where this is like a real natural DMT experience, where the 3D fades, and you're seeing all the things that are really probably around, the angels, the demons, the spirits, the entities, the essence of the universe that's literally all around us all the time, around us and in us. And he's starting to experience that. And he probably was already experiencing it way before the wilderness experience, obviously, but in a much more deeper way, probably than ever before. When you finally get to a point where you're 40 days deep into no eating, you're living off that spiritual energy that the Heavenly Father provides. That's got to be an amazing point. You know what I mean? Where you literally dying. You're dying. No water, no food. There's a death there. There's a spiritual death of who you were to become who you really are. And that's what I think it means to be reborn. That you literally have this death where he sounds like he goes into the depths of hell to come back up to heaven with the keys, to have the keys to heaven and hell. Like, he's the master of, like Neo from Matrix, right? He's the master of the universe at that point. One of them, right? The other people have done this too. Like, Buddha said to be called into the Holy Spirit. John the Baptist was called into the wilderness by the Holy Spirit. And other many stories of people who go on and doing this very same thing. That's what it means. That's what I think personally. Narrow is the gate, right? You can start with Christianity, you can start with Judaism, you can start with whatever, but narrow is the gate to get to the end, to get to this point, because there is no other way to get to this real honest part where you're like in alignment with God, when you're allowing free will from others, when you're loving unconditionally, when you are being called by the Holy Spirit to do certain things and go certain places and be with certain people. That's it. There is no other way. Like, this is the narrow gate that you eventually will come to of spirituality, this head point of communion back to the one. You know what I mean? This is to be a blueprint that is, doesn't matter where you start. This is where it's going to end. So I think that's really important. As a lot of people say, you can get there with Christianity. You can get there, but there will be no denying the fact that when you want to commune back with, yoga means union. When you want to commune in union, come into union again with the spirit and be God conscious, Christ conscious in the flesh, man, there's only one way to do that. It's narrow as the gate. And that's like I said, I think that's what it means to be reborn. I think we can all do that. I don't think that is something for just Jesus to do. He literally telling us we can do all these works and greater things than that. So why would he say to us that you can do all these things that I'm doing and greater if he didn't mean it? But we have to have the same reverence. We have to have the same love, the same gratitude, the same pertinent mission in our lives to do the same things that he did. I mean, that's huge. You have to want to get there. You have to deny yourself. You have to deny the world. You have to deny the lust. You have to deny eating or overeating. You have to want the food that the Heavenly Father, that manna from heaven, that's real, that spiritual energy that's all around us. Turn the rock over and I'm there. You have to hunt for those things and be here now and be still and know that I'm God. You have to do all the things to make it, to get there. And you have to have that same reverence that I am the Son of God. I am the daughter of God. I am one with all that is. And to the point where most people probably do think that's crazy. But deep down, they all know. I mean, deep down, they all know. They just forgot who they really are. And typically the person who does remember, people don't like that because it reminds them of who they are and the work they need to do. And that's why I think things like that, where Christ is crucified, happens, because it's such a blatant in the face to them and their perspective of being the person that, hey, you can do all this stuff too. And it's like, no, I can't. And I can't do that. And it's easier to kill the messenger than it is to even hear the message. And then coincidentally, after 40 days after the next resurrection, right? So after Christ is resurrected and then rises from the grave 3 days later, which is, I mean, incredible story. And I believe, if you guys know about it, the Shroud of Turin, where it has the imprint of Jesus in a negative image. I do believe that he bursts into light after those 3 days, and his entire image is completely like a picture on the Shroud of Turin. I do 100% believe that is a real image of Christ bursting into light after 3 days. And so then after the 3 days that he's resurrects, he's here on the, there's an essence of him, seems to be a little bit different to the people around. Some people don't notice him right away. It looks maybe slightly different, but he's here for 40 days before. He gradually and visibly observed by many onlookers, as the disciples strained to catch a last glimpse of Jesus and a cloud hit him. He literally rose from the ground gradually and visibly in front of everybody, and they're all standing around watching him. And two angels come down and they promise Jesus' return in just the same way that they watched him go. And I think that's pretty incredible. So you literally, after 40 days, is what he needs to do is done. It's time for him to go to the Father. He says, my guess is that probably is the actual Son. The Son is an entity as much as the Mother Earth is, Father, Son, and that he goes to the Father and he rises up from the ground into a cloud, and everybody's watching him, and he's hid by a cloud, and two angels come down and say, yeah, he's gone. He'll come back the same way. And that probably is where a lot of the rapture comes, and it says Christ will come back on a cloud again one day. The rapture literally means a state of experience of being carried by an overwhelming emotion, to be caught up with an emotion, or a mystical experience in which the spirit is exalted to a knowledge of divine things. So, and that's what I've learned through other Eastern philosophies and understandings, is that to rapture is one of the ways to enlightenment, to live in your bliss, to not indulge in things that you like or you want, but to ultimately live in bliss, to live your life in the way that you really want to be, ecstatic about life, to be happy about it, to be blissful about it, to follow the things that you love, the information, the stories, Native American culture, crystal skulls, uh, historical text, whatever it is, following those things that make you happy, that you love to learn about, and doing it, that is one of the ways to love it, to be caught up. Um, rapture means an expression or manifestation of ecstasy or passion. So, but now this modern day outlook is that Christ will come back on a cloud, picking people up before the trials and tribulations. I I don't personally really agree with that. I don't think that that's how it happens. I mean, I I personally think there are many, just as Jesus experienced um, wrapped, seems multiple raptures and resurrections in his life that lead up to a divine process of ascension. I think that we all have multiple resurrections, multiple raptures that lead to this divine process. I don't think Christ is coming back on a cloud to save people from tribulation because Christ never left. Remember, it says, before Abraham was, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. Christ was here before Abraham, and he was here after Abraham, and he was here after the Christ that Christ ascended up into heaven. I mean, if Christ is in your heart, as the people say, supposed to come into your heart in the process, why would you be looking for him on a cloud if he's in your heart? There's just so many things that doesn't make sense. But the more and more I see Christ in myself and allow him to come into me to change me and be that person that I want to be every day, I don't see it. I don't need to be saved from these things. I want to be here for this incredible transformation, this purification that's happening on this planet. It seems to most crucial. I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. I want to stay right here, right now. And I want to be here now more than I ever have wanted to in my whole life. Um, I think that's something that's very pertinent in my life. There's no way I would want to be even taken away. I have a relationship with Christ. He's revealed to me secrets and parables and understandings to the mystery of the kingdom of heaven. I've literally prayed and had Christ what felt like walked up to me and stood behind me and whispered in my ear the meaning to a parable, and I like downloaded a whole parable in a second. I've had multiple instances of that and other revealings and teachings and feelings of him being here with me. So I know that it's not like this long gone, you know, Christ and he's gone and now he's going to come back. It's never left. The energy is still here. You have to want it though. You have to want your own relationship. You have to have your own desire to really have him divulge to you the secrets, to have the revelations divulge to you that you're worthy and you're righteous too in that same way that God can and Christ can give you, those understandings. If you're full and oh, this and this and this, and your bowl is already full and Christ can't give you anything. But it's the people who are the seekers that really want to know. They want to experience the healing. They want to experience the information. They want to know the kingdom of heaven. They want to know the mysteries. And doing the things you're supposed to do, you will have a relationship with that Mary or that Christ, whatever you want to call it. But it is here. It's never left the building. And I think personally, because of the fact in the wilderness, because of after he obviously had a resurrection, he had a rapture there. He resurrected after 3 days in the cave, and then he ascended. Seems to me the resurrection, the rapture is all part of an ascension. And it is a multiple thing that happens over and over again. I've had similar things happen to me to get to this, really divine process that's happening. You know what I mean? Like there's a divine process of ascension that's happening, and there are little things that are happening very similar that are happening over and over again until you get to be, these really big things where you're gonna, if you want to get this Christ consciousness, it seems, and maybe because of the way things speed up, it seems like things are speeding up now, that we're moving into the 0 point in the vortex of this toroidal energy that we're in. Maybe it doesn't take as long here now that it took back then. But I still think it would make sense that this is the blueprint that we have seen so many enlightened beings who've reached the Christ consciousness or the Buddha nature or Christian spirit get to, and that it has to be something that it has to look similar to that. Narrow is the gate. So I do believe that we are all who are waking up. We are experiencing raptures. We're experiencing ascension. We're experiencing resurrections, little ego deaths, one by one, you know, all along the way. When we do some yoga, that old person dies out. When we learn this new thing, we let go of their religion. They're constantly dying into this new person that's, constantly refining over and over again. I no longer think it like I used to think about this thing. I no longer have that feeling about this. And you're constantly redefining the new person that's inside that you are. So I think if we are doing this as a human being, and this is what we have seen, like I said, Krishnas, Buddhas, and Christ and Marys get to, then we can get there as well. And that seems to be something that makes sense for me personally as a human. And I think for anybody as a human, if you really dive into that mystery and ask the questions, is this possible for us? I think it is. So my next question is then if we have an ascension that is possible for human beings, when we're like a microcosm to the macrocosm, then it seems to me that there has to be also some sort of collective ascension, some kind of planetary ascension. It seems like the planet to me was once a human, some kind of being like us, a human being or some kind of sentient being. And long ago, and that they've been able to raise their awareness, their consciousness into being a planet that lives for billions of years, having their own imagination about what they look like, and the inhabitants on it, having birth people, Mother Earth, Father, Son. So is the planet going through, do planets go through ascension process as well? I think they do. I think planets go through it. I think so. We are part of this planet too. So we're having a collective ascension as well. Is the universe sowing consciousness? It seems to be that way. Like the universe is literally sowing consciousness and awareness to be greater and greater and greater, refining it more and more and more so that it can create more planets, more galaxies, more universes into this incredible multiverse that we're in. That seems wild, but it seems like that there is a bigger purpose here. And it's not just about little us. We're a part of something infinite, and we're going to create more and more and more in this universe. And that seems exciting to me. Like nothing has ever done for me. Like the fact that you are part of it, you're part of God, you're part of the whole multiverse, creating more. It feels good. I mean, it feels like that you're here for some reason now. You know what I mean? Before waking up, you feel isolated. You feel, unloved, unpurposeful. Like you don't have a purpose. You don't have an understanding of what you're here for, why you're here, what are you supposed to do. And now when I ask these questions, when I get more understandings, I refine this who I am. It's like, what am I here to do? I'm here to create. I'm here to also destroy things. I'm here to destroy this whole world, light and dark. I'm here to destroy the old world to create a new one. And even beyond that, I'm going to create more and more understanding for this universe and for the multiverse. So I think this is huge. We're a microcosm, macrocosm. So this process has to be on a larger scale as well. Wheels within wheels, the age of Aquarius, the golden age, the hero's journey, 1,000 years of peace, lots of different ways people have said it, but their ages and their understandings to time that Mayans and other people had for long periods of time that they always try to put out there for us. They put out in the books, they put it on temples, they drew it out, they created buildings that literally spelled it out to try to preserve it and say, hey, guys, we know you're going to forget, but here's the things to help you wake up and to remember it. Because I want to get there. Don't you want to get there? I want to move into an age of peace. But I do realize that if we're going to move into a total light period, that is probably going to be the darkest before the dawn. And we're going to have to what? We're going to have to descend into hell before we resurrect into heaven. And so there's a whole nother process of that light and the dark. We're going to have to descend into hell before we resurrect into heaven. I mean, I think that's what people are saying when they're saying we're moving from 3D to 5D, 3 dimensions to 5 dimensions. And that fourth dimension is probably just a thinking dimension where we're starting to realize it. We're starting to get it. We're starting to understand more. You're starting to see the synchronicities and realize this whole thing is connected. And it's not just me in the middle of the universe trying to figure something out. I am the universe, getting to know myself and understand why I'm here. What's my purpose? What am I doing? And that's exciting, man. It really is, at least for me. And I imagine for a few of you guys watching out there, you got to realize this is This is it. This is why you're here. It's not necessary to have a job, pay taxes. There's a lot. There is. Yeah, we're all questioning. Is there more to do? Yeah, there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to get. There's a lot more to understand. And be here now is the biggest part. Being present, saying what you meant to say, doing what you meant to do, being who you're meant to be. Could you imagine what that might feel like? What does it feel like to live a life where you're always at the right place at the right time? When you're saying what you meant to say, when you're feeling what you meant to feel, being who you meant to be, where God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven. That's the prayer, that God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I think that's where we're at. I think we're at an incredible point that we've all reincarnated over and over and over again to learn things, to learn different cultures, to gather up this information, to understand these different ideas, these different symbols, these different ways of life, these different cultures, and all realize it's all about love. It's all about understanding. It's all about learning. It's about growing. It's about evolving. And then it's about getting here now and taking all the things you've learned, all the experiences, and let them bleed through to be still, take a breath, be calm, and let it come to you. If you don't have to even fight for it, it comes to you. You're awakening and you wake up and you're from the dream. That this is a little dream that we've created of misery and sorrow, and I can create my own hell, that I surely must be able to create my own heaven as well. And when you do that and you let it come to you and you breathe and you let the past lives and the understandings and all the things that you've done come back and let your soul speak, you can hear it. And then I start to realize that even science is telling us the same thing today. With the Schumann resonance being at 7.83 hertz, lately it's been lingering around 8.5 hertz and even as high as 16 hertz. People believe this is like the heartbeat of the earth. It's speeding up, it's getting higher, it's raising, it's ascending up. To me, this means like somatics. Somatics is a study of sound and how sound has potential on physical matter. If you play a speaker with certain hertz and it on salt on a metal plate with salt or sugar, one of the coolest things is probably to watch it with cornstarch on the speaker. It literally turns cornstarch into beings dancing around. That's what it looks like. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. All things are held together by a sound, the Om, the primordial Om. And then each planet has its own frequency and its own vibrations. And it has its own song and it's playing. And as those songs rise and they get higher and higher and higher, it's kind of what happened to us now. We kind of feel like, oh man, things are getting real intense and seems like time is speeding up. Time's not even speeding up, it's the same amount of time. But we're realizing more things. A 5-minute conversation took 500 years to get in past lives. The person that you meet that brings you to the next part of your evolution happens in a 3-minute conversation or 20 or 30-minute conversation. It took 1,000 years to figure out, and then all of a sudden you, bam, next thing you know, you're downloading huge parables and understandings and information in a second, and it just comes alive in your body again. It's like you remembered it. We're there in that time where this frequency sweep, this purification. So when you look at somatics, when you look at salt or sugar being vibrated on a metal plate, they will hold a certain symbol, a certain frequency, a certain shape. They're incredible shapes. And then all of a sudden, when that vibration gets to be high enough, they'll morph. They'll morph into some other shape. You see a lot of these shapes on cathedrals and different churches and stuff on stained glass windows. And we see them in sacred geometry as well. But again, they hold these shapes to a certain vibration, and then all of a sudden they morph into something new. The salt, the sugar, the crystalline structures completely, as they're moving around, change into something else. That's crazy. That shows us that a frequency being played changes the physical structure of matter. So we're literally going through a frequency sweep. We're going through a purification, a shift, whatever you want to call it. But we're going from a lower vibration to a higher vibration. And that's all that we need to know. And if you are not vibrating at a higher level when this shift happens, you just don't go. You're not going to make it. You'll be at the wrong place at the wrong time. instead of the right places at the right time. And that's all right too. You'll get to go, and I think your soul gets to reincarnate on different places, and you'll get to do it over and over again until you get it right. But I think this planet now is on a place where the evolution is so obvious. And the evolution doesn't take millions and millions of years for things to change. In my personal opinion, my personal belief, I believe it's spontaneous evolution. I believe that when we see different species roaming the planets, all of a sudden it goes to one thing to another. You don't see a shellfish and all of a sudden millions of years evolving. You get shellfish and fish. You see Cro-Magnon man, Paleolithic man, Homo sapiens, Neanderthals. You don't see the skeletons and stuff of the in between because they've changed drastically. In the twinkling of an eye, in the blink of an eye, things will change because that frequency will shift and change, and those on that vibrational frequency will shift and change with it, and those who don't will not. That is something that I 100% believe. That's the instruments, the trumpets in heaven, if you will. The reason that there's a sounding of music in the heavens is to signify that there is a frequency being played. There's trumpets are being played, and if you don't hear that music, you don't go with it to that 1,000 years of peace, to that new world. That the golden age, and that so many people, so many different cultures, so many continents have pieces of the puzzle. They lay it out for us, but you never see it all one. But eventually, if you put all the pieces together, I think this is the message that we'll get. We are experiencing an incredible time in evolution that's spontaneous, that's incredible, that's an alignment that we need to get into. It's a frequency that we need to shift to. And if we don't, we won't. But if you do, you will. And I believe now, more than ever, that it's graduation time. It's time for us to graduate from 3D to 5D, to shift to a new reality, to a new way of being, to new politics, new education, to new ways of living, to new ways to learn how to love each other, technology beyond our wildest dreams, and living on this way and on this planet in a way that may look like it's a million years in the future. I think it's coming really soon. And it seems to be that way already. Poles are shifting, things are happening. We're feeling it. If you are not feeling it, you're not paying attention. But it's time. It's time for graduation. I'm excited about it. And I hope that you guys are out there excited about it too, because as we shift who we are, we shift the world. There's no reason for us. We don't have to be CEOs. We don't have to buy a company. We don't have to sell anything. Your very presence, what you resonate, the person that you are, if you start telling the truth, and it's your 100% intention every day to be honest, to be truthful, to be loving, to be considerate, to be a passionate, to be a listener instead of just talk over people. Once we start being that person that we want to see in the world, it changes everything. It changes everyone around us. It changes everything. And people will see that. It gives them permission to do the same. You don't have to even convince anybody. Your energy, who you are, resonates. And it is either all inspiring to people, or it can be downright dispositioning people. People could hate it because they don't want to do the same. They want to live that ego life, and that's fine. That's their journey too. And so you have the darkness in your life, so you can understand the light too. I believe those are dualities of each other, light and dark, hot and cold. You only experience them, but you experience them because of the extremes, but they are definitely part of one. Hot and cold is part of temperature. Light and dark is part of the whole, as is the yin and the yang. So I don't look at one as bad or good. I look at them as they are, and we can experience them. And there are times when you have to destroy things, and there are times when you create things. That being said, I'm incredibly thankful to deliver this message tonight, and very humble about the whole thing. I'm obviously someone who's not a Christ or a Buddha or Krishna, but I'm definitely a seeker of truth and working extremely hard to go as far as I can in this lifetime, and to go as far as I can in this lifetime. Um, I hope that you guys are too, man. I am so looking forward to a world that works for everyone, that people are love, people are the main source of inspiration, that we live in a renaissance again where, it's an abundance of love, abundance of production, abundance of the things that we need to live on this planet sustainably. That is totally possible. And I believe many civilizations throughout history that have been covered up have done it, and we'll do it again. So I just want to say thank you guys tonight for being here with me, being on Ascension Works TV, for listening to this message, and wherever you listen to it, in your car, your home, or any platform. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It definitely is something that I feel called to do. I hope one day that we have, huge groups of people talking about these things, because to me, it really is some of the most important things that are going on right now, more so than anything else. Your ascension, the ascension, your death, your resurrection, your ascension into the new great person that you really are, that your soul really is, deserves it. This world deserves the person that each of us are hiding. And I hope that we all have the courage to be that person that we want to see in the world. I'm so incredibly grateful for all of you. The light in me honors, sees, and recognizes the light in each and every single one of you. Namaste.